Hello everyone, and welcome to another R tutorial video. And in this video, I want to begin our discussion on talking about plotting in R. And I want this tutorial series to do two things. One, I wanted to show the base R functions that are used for plotting, and I want to use it to introduce the idea of ggplot, or the ggplot2 package in R, which is an implementation of the Grammar of Graphics framework for plotting. And I think it's important to do them sort of simultaneously because it gives a good foundation of why we plot the way we plot, and it allows direct comparisons between base R plotting and ggplot2 plotting. And the way that I want to approach this, at least initially, is to go through the three most common types of plots: histograms, box plots, and scatter plots. How we do them in base R versus how we do them in ggplot. And along the way, highlight some of the difference, especially syntax-wise, between base R and ggplot2, and describe some of the nuances of ggplot2. Now, I want to state this up front that ggplot2 is a massive R package, and it's capable of doing all kinds of graphics. And there's not enough time in this video or in a video series to really delve into every single option, every single function, and every single parameter in ggplot2. Rather, what I want you to walk away from this series with is a better understanding of how ggplot2 works and the ability to use the online documentation to figure out how to do exactly what you would like. So what I want to do is I want to start off by making a histogram. So regardless of which method that you choose, ggplot2 or the base R functions, you're going to need some data. And as always, I find it best to just start by using the iris dataset. So the iris dataset. And for those of you that have not watched my previous videos or aren't familiar with the iris dataset is a 5-column, 150-row data frame that consists of different measurements on different species of iris. So what we can do here, and this is the best first step you can ever do, is just quickly examine the data. So we're going to start by doing a function called names, which will return the names of the data set. And I am running this code by hitting Control Enter. And you'll see we have sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width, and species. Now I'm going to actually save these by making them a comment, just so that way we have access to them later, because this is going to be extremely important when we start running some of the plots. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly make sure that we know what data types we have. And you've hopefully seen my other videos do this before, but we're going to use a function called lapply in R, which takes in a data frame, in this case the iris data frame, and then it takes in a function, in this case class. And note that I don't have the parentheses after class because we're not calling the function, we're passing the function in as a parameter to another function. And so if I run this, it's going to run that class function on all of the columns in the iris dataset. So if I run this, you'll see that we have 4 numerics and a factor. And this factor, this species, is going to become very important in later plots. So just keep in mind that we have 4 numerics and a factor. And then finally, I always think it's a good idea just to visualize the first few rows of the data set. And you can do that quickly with the head function. So now you can see here we have sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and species, just like the names. And you'll see that we have the first few rows, just to make sure we don't have anything strange going on. Okay, so now what we can do is we can start to actually think about constructing plots. And as I mentioned before, I want to do everything in the base R first, and then show you how to get the same result using the ggplot2 package. So let's go ahead and start with base R. And for base R, to make a histogram, you would use the function hist. And you'll see here that it automatically comes in here. Double click it. So with the histogram function, what the histogram function needs is all it needs is the data that you want to plot, and it is a single column. So in this case, we're going to pass it in a single column. We're going to pass in the iris $ to access the columns. And let's go ahead and do sepal width. That seems like a good first data set to create. So then I'm going to hit Control Enter to run this. And you'll see that with a simple function call and one parameter, we've managed to create a pretty generic histogram. So hopefully that made sense, and we'll go through customizing things more in later videos. But for now, this is just base, how do we get these things? So you can see here, this is exactly the way we would expect a histogram to look. So this is in base R. We've loaded and examined the data. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to do the same thing in ggplot2. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to stop this video right now because I want to begin this discussion of ggplot2 going in a little bit more detail about what ggplot2 is, and I'm trying to keep this video relatively short. So we're actually going to stop this video right now. The ggplot2 histogram will be the start of the next video. So again, if any of this seemed confusing, there wasn't a whole lot of code here, but if any of it seemed confusing, if you didn't understand where this iris $sepal width came from, I encourage you to pause the video, go back, rewatch the parts you're confused about, and as always, please reach out. Thank you.